Let's start with the prayers. Om Sahana Vavato Sahanao Bhunakto Saha Vidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are doing this wonderful chapter 1 of Panchadasi, called Tattva Viveka Prakaranam. It consists of 65 verses. We have finished 10 verses. Today we're going to start the 11th verse. This 11th verse to 36th verse. 11 to 36, that means about 26 verses. Swami Vidyaranya is going to talk about creation. What is this creation? How do we experience this creation? And so on. Initially, he started with the topic of introducing a guru and a shishya, and then went on to describe the reality. Reality means it is my own nature. The definition of reality is my own higher nature is called as reality. What is my own lower nature? My own lower nature is this body-mind complex. What is the lower nature of the world? The lower nature of the world is whatever we experience. Everything which we experience is called as lower nature. What is the higher nature? The higher nature is the observer principle, the consciousness principle. So this consciousness principle, which is the observer, is distinctly different than the world, than the universe. So you should understand what is the universe and then what is the observer of the universe. This distinction is very beautifully brought about in chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita. Kshetra kshetrajno vibhaga. Kshetra means the universe. Kshetrajna means the observer. Purusha is the observer. Prakriti is the observed universe. So different terms are used in the scriptures to describe the universe. Kshetram, the seen universe. Prakriti. These are the terms used in different contexts. The terms used for the observer is consciousness, Brahman, God, Purusha. All these are terms used, and also another term, or which is commonly famous in Taittiriya Upanishad, it's called Sat Chit Ananda. All these terms mean only one thing. It means it is the seer principle. See, you should understand the overall picture of Vedanta. If you understand the outline of the Vedantic principles, then when you study the topic, it becomes easier. This outline you will only get from Upanishadic study. You will not get this from any other text. This outline of the universe, how I should see this universe. This vision of the universe from the scriptural angle is totally different than the vision which we already think of this universe. When you come to Vedanta, when you come to the scriptural study, this you must acknowledge. First of all, you should say, my vision of this world is with error. It's a mistaken notion about the world. That is the starting point. If you still hold on to your view of the world and then try to reason out scriptural vision, it will not work out. Many seekers, they fail in the spiritual study because this is exactly the problem. They hold on to their view first. Whatever is their view, I was born on so-and-so date, I will die. These are all the vision of the normal jiva. So what Vedanta says is, or a guru who is teaching, what he will say is, this vision which you currently hold, keep it aside. Then you listen, do Shravanam of Upanishads. And then try to understand clearly the Upanishadic version. From any guru. You may take any guru and then go through the scriptural study. May last for 4 or 5 years. But get the vision of what the Upanishad wants to teach you. Do not keep bringing back your vision. Your vision is faulty. You have to accept that. Unless you accept that my vision is faulty and don't try to corroborate your vision with the scriptural vision. What you should do is first study the scriptural vision clearly. It will take some time. And then what you do, you try to ask questions with reference to the notions you have about the universe. This is how scriptural study is done. That is why 3 steps are involved in scriptural studies: Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. First step is Shravanam. Listen from a guru the explanation of the scriptures. Then clear your doubts. And finally, take your notions one by one and then drop it with the view of the scripture. With the vision which you have got from the scriptures, slowly we have to drop that notions. When you do this, this is called as complete scriptural study as per the Veda. I hope I'm very clear, because this is a very important thing you should all understand. And many questions are all related to the wrong methodology which is used. You take your vision and try to say, no, no, this is my vision, this is the correct vision. What scripture is telling is all wrong. So with this introduction, what this chapter is trying to teach us is the same essence which is there in Taittiriya Upanishad. I've just completed Taittiriya Upanishad on the Saturday class. And then I'm going to take the Bhashyam, Shankaracharya's Bhashyam commentary on Taittiriya Upanishad for 2-3 weeks. Just to give a sample, a taste of how Shankaracharya analyzes the scriptures. This is the first time I'm doing a Shankara Bhashyam. The last 10 years of my teaching these sessions. First time I'm doing Shankara Bhashyam on Taittiriya Upanishad, and that also I'm not going to do completely. I'm just going to take a sample. Because Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, if you take any Upanishad, it will take you a long time to finish it. That is why nobody generally teaches Shankara Bhashyam completely for any major Upanishads like Vedantic Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad. These are all very voluminous texts, even Mandokya Upanishad. There are some talks available on the Bhashyam. They are very, very good, but it requires a long time to study. Okay. So Taittiriya Upanishad says that my own nature is Sat Chit Ananda. What Vidyaranya says, we have seen up to the 10th verse. Now today we'll start the 11th verse. What he says is Sat and Chit. We have already finished in the last 10 sessions, in the last 10 verses. He says that Ananda also I have explained to you, but there is one small point about Ananda. There is a small doubt. Let me try to ask that question and answer that question. So from 11th verse till about 15th verse, till 15th verse, 16th verse, he will try to raise a doubt, which is called as a Purva Pakshi. Purva Pakshi means objectionist. This objectionist is created by the author himself in order to bring home a point which he thinks may be a doubt lingering in the minds of all the students. That is how Bhashyams are written. Bhashyam means commentary. So Upanishad will make a statement, then the commentator will pose a question and try to answer as a doubt. Let's see the 11th verse, and then we'll try to quickly see as many verses today as possible, so that this particular section we try to understand fully.
Abhane prema, abhanena param prema, bhanena vishaye spruha, bhanena vishaye spruha, ato bhanepya bha tasau, ato bhanepya bha tasau, paramanandatatmanaha, paramanandatatmanaha.
The question being raised here in the verse number 11 is going to be answered in the 3-4 verses following this verse. So unless until you study the whole section, then only you will understand this question and answer. So I'll try to quickly see how fast we can do this section so that you get a full picture. See, the question is, our nature, Atma, the self, is said to be Ananda Swarupa. Ananda means bliss. Now the author is asking, is this bliss experienced or is this experience not experienced? Abhane means not experienced. Bhane means experienced. When we don't experience, that means this bliss or happiness or joy is not manifest. When we experience, it means it is manifest. That is the question. The question itself is a little tricky question. Abhane na param prema. If the bliss is not experienced, then the self is not of the nature of supreme affection. Suppose I don't experience this bliss, that means I will never love myself. But then what is our experience? Our experience is I love myself the greatest. My love for myself is the highest. That is what is the doubt which Vidyaranya is raising. If the self's blissful nature is not experienced, then I should not have the love for myself. But then my experience is what? I love myself a lot. I'm willing to drop things in the world just because I don't like it. I means what? The self. Because I love myself, I have to take that the supreme affection is there. Therefore, love is being experienced. The bliss is being experienced by me. Then the next question arises. Okay, so this is one part of the doubt. Anena vishaya spriha. This is the other side to it. Suppose you say that I experience bliss. This is the other side, yeah? Try to understand this question. Understanding the question itself is very, very tricky. Suppose you say that my nature is bliss. Always happy. That is my nature. Then what will happen? I will not be running behind the whole universe seeking happiness. So our experience contradicts what our nature is. It's a catch-22 situation. We can't say that the bliss exists, or we can't say that the bliss doesn't exist, going by our experience. Okay, so that is the two options and the explanations. Now you understand. If you don't understand, you can ask me again. But this is a tricky question and a tricky doubt. Ataha, therefore, only one possibility is acceptable. The bliss of the self manifests because it is experienced. Bliss manifests because we love ourself without any conditions. We are seeking pleasure outside means bliss is not there. See, that is what the question is being, this particular verse is only defining the question, defining the doubt. Okay, so I hope you have all understood the doubt. And if you have understood the doubt, then the following verses will make sense to you. I'll repeat the doubt again. The doubt is, if the self is of the experience of bliss, then I will not be running for happiness in the world, because I will be always happy. Suppose you say that the self is not blissful. Suppose you say the self's nature is not blissful. That means I don't experience bliss at all. Then the problem is what? Then the problem is that you are trying to say that I don't love myself. But I also have the experience, I also have this anubhava that I love myself the most. How are these two contradictory emotions felt by all human beings? Okay, so the question is clear. Now let's go on to the answer.
अध्येतृवर्गमध्यस्थ पुत्राध्ययनशब्दवत् भानेप्यभानं भानस्य प्रतिबन्धेन युच्यते
See, Vidyaranya is a master teacher. He is a great acharya. So he will pose a question and then he will also answer it brilliantly. To answer this problem of the self is of the nature of bliss, he gives an example. What does he say? He says, suppose there is a chanting class going on, and you are a father and you have a son who's attending the session. There is a teacher who is chanting and the students are repeating the chant. Suppose you are learning Rudra and the teacher is telling one part of the Rudra and then all the teacher or the students, they are repeating it. This is how the Vedic culture in India was. The chanting goes on like this in any Vedic school. Now, the father wants to, he knows that his son's voice is like a bell ringing in a temple. It's very beautiful. It is strong sound. His son's voice, son's chanting is very, very, they say Ganir. Ganir means it is powerful. Very melodious chanting he does at home. He has heard his son at home. Now, in the class, the father is trying to check his son's chanting. See how the example is. That is what is explained in these slide. The sound of chanting by the son, bhane api apana. The son is chanting, but the father is not able to recognize the difference in the sound of his son and the chorus around the chant. So the father is not able to hear the sound distinctly. Bhanasya pratibandhena yujyate. There is an obstacle, which is the chorus sound. That chorus sound is, because of the chorus, he is not able to listen or differentiate. That obstacle is called as pratibandha. Pratibandha in Sanskrit means it is a hindrance to the sound being produced. So if you have understood this example, now let us see what is the definition of an obstacle and how Vidyaranya explains that.
प्रतिबन्धोऽस्ति भातीति प्रतिबन्धोऽस्ति भातीति व्यवहारार्हवस्तुनि व्यवहारार्हवस्तुनि तन्निरस्य विरुद्धस्य तस्योत्पादनमुच्यते तस्योत्पादनमुच्यते.
See, Vidyaranya takes it step by step. See how beautifully Vidyaranya takes up a topic. Slowly he will develop the topic so that our mind gets used to the higher nature about ourselves. Whenever you come to a session like this, you should always keep in mind all I'm trying to listen is trying to help me to understand my nature, my own nature. I spend 2 hours in a week. I come on a Wednesday session. What is it? I'm trying to understand my nature. That's all. I'm not wasting my time. I spend time doing so many things in my life. But I never ask this question, who am I? That is what is being addressed in all our sessions, whether it is a Wednesday class or a Saturday class. The topic is the same. What is the obstacle, the impediment, or what is called as pratibandha? asti bhati vyavahara arhavastuni. In our interactions with the world, we say that something is experienced, shines, it reveals. Asti bhati, it exists and it is revealed. Tannirasya, suppose this is denied. Suppose I say that during the vyavahara, I don't experience the existence of an object, I don't see that object. Vyavahara denies the experience of existence and consciousness of the object. Object exists, but there is some hindrance in transactions. Viruddhasya means it is an hindrance, obstacle. And this obstacle, what does it do? It creates a contrary experience. What is the viruddha? What is the viruddha experience? That I don't, asti nasti. Asti is it exists. Nasti means it doesn't exist. Bhati means it is revealed. I'm conscious of. Na bhati means I'm not conscious of that object. Upadanam, creation is called uchyate. What is pratibandha? That obstacle which creates this hindrance, because of which I do not appreciate the existence of an object, or I don't experience the object. That is what is called as an obstacle. That is a definition of obstacle. Okay? See how he started, how he is slowly developing the topic. When you finish the topic, you will understand the whole scenario. So the obstacle, what does it do? It does two things. First of all, it obstructs or veils the asti and bhati. Asti means existence of the product and bhati means revelation of the product. To me, see, each individual is different. That is one. This is like the avarna shakti of Maya. Then the second thing, what it does, that obstacle creates a contrary experience. It does not exist, it does not shine. Something else is existing, something else is shining. That is the experience. What pratibandha in Drishtanta, Putra Adhyayana, Shabda, and Dashtantika, what is sought to be known? See, now what we have to do is go back to the example and find out what is that obstacle in that example of that son chanting and the father not able to listen to the next verse will tell us what is the obstacle.
तस्य हेतु समानाभि आरः पुत्रध्वनिश्रुतौ इहानादिरविद्यैव व्यामोहैकनिबन्धनम्.
See the development, how beautifully Vidyaranya as a teacher, step by step, he is telling us why we don't experience ananda in our life. What is the reason? That is the main thing which is, the topic is that. But slowly he is trying to develop the topic and giving an example of a chanting. Now he is telling us why in the chanting there is some problem. What is the obstacle? Asya hetuhu samana abhihara. The son's chanting is distinctly not being heard by the father. Na bhati. Na asti, na bhati. The sun's chanting does not exist. Sun's chanting, I don't hear properly, clearly. Putra dhvani shrutau, in the case of the chanting of the sun. What is the cause? What is the obstacle? The obstacle is samana abhihara. Togetherness, chorus in chanting is the obstacle. Because there is a chorus of chanting, I don't listen properly. I'm not able to say whether my son is there chanting or he is not chanting. I can see the sun, but whether he's chanting or not chanting, I don't know. The reason is because of the chorus chanting. Now, what is the problem in our case with reference to Satchidananda Swarupa? The problem or the obstacle is called as avidya. Anadi avidya eva pratibandhas. Why do we say the self is not of the nature of bliss or joy? The self I don't experience, that's what I say. You ask any common man, what will he say? Oh, I'm a very sorrowful person. So many, you just ask any person, how are you? If you wait there for too long, if you wait there for 10 seconds, he will say, I'm fine. But if you stay on for a cup of tea or a coffee and keep asking him this question, how are you? 90% of the people will start their autobiography. So the obstruction in all human beings is called as mula avidya. This is a technical word. Mula avidya means it is the root cause of our sorrow. Like in physics, force is declared as mass into acceleration. Similarly, we must understand the technical terms of Vedanta. In the context of supreme bliss, it is not experienced by the human beings as their real nature. It is not even known as if it exists, and it is because of avidya. This is where he wanted to arrive at. In the 11th verse he started, but now this is the conclusion. Vyamoha eka nibandhanam. Avidya is the one single obstacle causing the delusion that I am sorrowful person. This is the same problem in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 1. Arjuna expressed to Lord Krishna and said, I am totally dejected. Totally dejected with the world. I am totally dejected with the whole confusion about fighting my own cousins in the battlefield. Me fighting with my own cousin, me and mine, me and mine. 10, 12 verses he keeps on repeating me, mine. I am suffering. My cousins, my cousins. The problem, obstacle is me and mine is a wrong notion in the mind. This is what Lord Krishna wanted to teach Arjuna in the whole 18 chapters. He wanted to teach the spiritual nature of all human beings. And Lord Krishna is a master teacher. He's got a fantastic methodology. Right in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he gives the highest nature of the self from chapter 2, verse number 12, 13 to 30th verse. Because the root cause is avidya, mula avidya. It is not ignorance of how to, it is not ignorance of Russian language or Japanese language. I don't know Japanese. I don't know how to build a car. I don't know how to cook. These are all objective sciences. The spiritual sciences do not deal with the objective science at all. Shastra, Vedanta deals with spiritual ignorance. You can't hear the crystal clearly the chanting because of chorus. In the case of the self, avidya has created an obstacle. Therefore, you say that Satchit Ananda, the Atma, I am not able to experience, even though it is there. What is this avidya? He tries to explain a little bit more in the following verses. See, he wants to talk about creation. But before talking about creation, he says, before you get into the creation topic, you try to understand the nature of ignorance, which is the real problem. You see, Satchidananda is my swarupa, is my nature. In between me and that Satchidananda Atma, there is something. That is what is called as ignorance. Today, I think I am the body who was born, and I think the body will not be there after some time. Therefore, I do not exist is my conclusion. In between these two, diametrically, what Shastra is telling me about myself, what I think I am, there is a gap. That gap is called as avidya. I hope now it's clear. Okay, this is a revision from 11 to 14, whatever we have studied in the last 40 minutes or so. Satchit Atma, I am able to, Satchit in the Atma, with some difficulty, I am able to recognize. I exist, okay, fine, I exist. Chit, I am conscious. Okay, that also I am able to accept. But Ananda aspect, that I am blissful, I am joyous, I am the nature of happiness, that is what I can't experience, is the topic in this section 11 to 14. And there is an obstacle which is projecting the non-existence of this bliss. Na asti, na bhati. That is the problem. I am blissful, I am existing, I am conscious. If all these three, if I'm able to accept completely, you are a jnani. When I say you are able to accept means what? Throughout your life. Not just during the period of, say, 10 minutes, 15 minutes during the class is going on. No, no, no. It is continuously you experience this joy. Asattva, apadaka, avarnam. These are some technical terms. I won't go too much into this. I've already explained to you the problem. The problem is the chorus nature of the chanting. And then the self, does it exist or it doesn't exist? The pratibandha is avidya. And I think I am a jiva. Since when did I think this? Right from birth onwards. That is what the world taught me. I am a jiva. So as a jiva, now I have to investigate what is that ignorance which is there, which has been there. According to Shastra, it's been there in several births. Now I have to wake up to the level to drop this avidya and own up my real nature. That is the objective of this study. For example, how dream comes to an end, the same way avidya will also come to an end. To explain what is this avidya, he brings the topic of prakriti, twofold prakriti. Okay, now we'll enter the topic of creation. Okay, from here, the real topic of creation starts. This goes on up to 36th verse. For the next 3, 4, 5 sessions, we'll be only analyzing creation. Tattva Bodha, whatever we have learned in Tattva Bodha, we're going to revise. And then we are going to enter into Avastha Traya Viveka, which is a very, very powerful technique to understand creation. Let's listen to this verse.
Chidananda Maya Brahma, Chidananda Maya Brahma, Pratibimbas Samanvita, Pratibimbas Samanvita, Tamo Rajas Sattva Guna, Tamo Rajas Sattva Guna, Prakrutir Dvividhachasa, Prakrutir Dvividhachasa.
Vidyaranya handles creation. How he explains creation, this methodology is very unique to Vidyaranya. When you go through these verses, you will understand how he approaches the topic of creation. A very interesting way. So let's go through this step by step. Now you have to, for those of you who don't understand, you have to go step by step very slowly. If you don't understand certain aspects, immediately you ask, put a in the chat box, put a question. Can you explain? Chidananda Maya Brahma Pratibimba Samanvita. What is Prakriti? Prakriti is 3 gunas. If you have not studied the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, go back and study and revise that chapter so that you can understand the following verses much more clearly. The 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita explains the 3 gunas of Prakriti. Prakriti means it is a power which is there in the creation. First thing you should understand. What is Prakriti? Nature. Nature means what? For all of us, it's just that it is there. That's all. But then what? How does Vidyaranya explain it? You see it. Tamo rajas sattva guna eva prakritihi. This Prakriti generally is a methodology adopted by Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy looks at the creation in 2 ways. There is Prakriti and there is Purusha. Purusha is the spiritual principle. Prakriti is the nature, matter principle. Now, how does this nature operate? See, we are going into very deep Vedanta here. So this, take a mold called as creation mold. See, what we see today as creation is very distinct form. What you should imagine is, what is the original clay form? The Brahma Yoni. Before this entire differentiated world came, what is that womb of creation? That womb of creation is called as Prakriti. That womb has got 3 gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. In Samya Avastha. In Samya Avastha means what? When it is equal in proportion, sattva, rajas, and tamas, there is no creation. Okay? When does a creation start? When there is a inequilibrium in the sattva, rajas, and tamas. This is totally different than the Big Bang theory of science. See, this is very, very scientific, but then it's got its own type of analysis. So Trigunatmika is samanvita yuktaha. It is associated with pratibimba, reflection, or a chaya, or a shadow. What does this mean? There is consciousness which is called as Chidananda Atma. There are two things. One is Atma, which is Satchidananda. There is another thing called as Trigunatmika Maya. The Trigunatmika Maya gets a reflection of that Satchidananda. Okay? See how the reflection theory, many times in Tattva Bodha we say reflected consciousness, reflecting material, original consciousness, original material. Now, see how beautifully Vidyaranya analyzes this. This reflection is compared to a shadow, chaya. What is a chaya? It is darkness. Where is the light? Light is the sunlight, which is the Chaitanya, which is Brahma Sarupa, which is Satchidananda Sarupa. That pure light of consciousness, when it gets reflected in the Maya Shakti, which is called as Trigunatmika, which is made up of the three gunas, then the activity starts. So Trigunatmika is associated with the chaya of Brahman, with the darkness of Brahman, or which is called as ignorance of Brahman, avidya of Brahman. This point is very important. Many people do not understand what is this ignorance, what is this ignorance, what is this ignorance. Many times after 25 years of Vedanta, they are not able to understand what is this ignorance. In Naishkarmi Siddhi, there is a huge chapter on ignorance itself. In all advanced texts, this ignorance topic is taken up in great detail. Vichara Sagara, Naishkarmi Siddhi, Shrutisara Samudharanam, every high topics, advanced topics of Vedanta, they all analyze avidya. And Vidyaranya in this chapter, he takes this avidya very beautifully. So avidya is Brahma Pratibimba. It is a reflection of the darkness or the ignorance of Brahman. That is why it is called as Chidananda Maya. It is a Maya principle which is associated with Satchidananda. And what is the Upalakshana for it? If you add on to that definition, Sat is understood, but if it is understood clearly, it is not avidya, it is vidya. So, the definition of Prakriti is this very important definition. Just keep a note. Try to understand. Satchidananda Maya Brahma Pratibimba Samanvitatva Sati Sattva Rajastamo Guna Atmakatvam Prakritehe Lakshana. Lakshana means definition. Maya Atma as a Lakshana. Maya Atma means it is the power of the three gunas along with the reflection of the consciousness endowed with. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas exists along with Brahman. It exists along with the Brahman means what? It exists along with the shadow or a reflection of that original consciousness, then it is called as Prakriti. Okay? This definition is very important. What we are trying to understand, my nature is not this Prakriti. My nature is Satchidananda Swarupa. Without the reflection, Prakriti is inactive because it is Jada. Prakriti means 5 elements. The connection between the Jada body and that consciousness, what is the connection? It is the reflection. So if that reflection is not there, you will call it Jada. For example, a desk, a stone, doesn't have reflection of that consciousness. Purusha is not associated with Prakriti. Energy aspect of Purusha is brought in by the concept of reflection. See, that pure nature of consciousness exists by itself. But when that matter principle, which is sattva, rajas, and tamas, comes in front, or sannidhi matrena, it is in front of that consciousness, then it gets the energy of that pure consciousness. Dvida chasa, that Prakriti is twofold. Now slowly he is going to develop that topic of Prakriti, and I think I will take this topic next week so that slowly we can develop this topic going forward. This is a long verse. It's got a little bit more explanation than usual. So I will probably just give you the gist of it so that when you come next week, you can get, you know what we are going to start with. Let's just chant this, let's just hear the chanting and understand the meaning. And then next week, we'll go into the slides. All this chanting is done by Vijaya from Texas.
Sattva shuddhya vishuddhibhyam, sattva shuddhya vishuddhibhyam, maya vidhye cha te mate, maya vidhye cha te mate, maya bimbo vashikritya, maya bimbo vashikritya, tam syat sarvagna ishwarah, ताम स्यात् सर्वघ्न ईश्वरः.
Swami Vidyaranya makes the difference between a jiva and Ishwara. Many seekers, they ask this question: what is the difference between me and God? Here in this verse, there is a clearly the distinction is mentioned. What does it say? When the element of sattva is pure, you see, Trigunatmika Maya exists. In that Maya, sattva, rajas, and tamas is there. If the sattva is pure, then that Prakriti is called as Maya. There are two technical terms he is going to use to define creation. The whole creation is only the starting point is this. One is Maya, the second is avidya. Now he is describing what are these two terms. If it is pure, it is called as Maya. That means it is Ishwara's Shakti. Suppose it is mixed up with rajas and tamas, then it is called as avidya. This avidya is the jiva portion. Maya is the Ishwara portion. That is what is meant, that is what is being described here. So, Maya, avidya are twofold prakriti. There are two types of prakriti in nature. One is pure sattva. Pure sattva means omniscient, Lord. I know everything about the world, about the creation, about the origin of creation also. That is what is Ishwara. There is no rajas and tamas. What happens with rajas? Rajas means what? All the thoughts which spring in my mind. That is rajas. What is tamas? Laziness. I feel lazy. I have delusion, confusion, doubts. All that is tamas. So pure sattva and sattva mixed with rajas and tamas. Pure sattva is called as Maya. Sattva mixed up with rajas and tamas is called as avidya. This differentiation nowhere else you will find except in Swami Vidyaranya's analysis of creation. That is the beauty of how Swami Vidyaranya looks at how to explain creation. Now let me approach this methodology. So this method we are going to expand next week. Okay, I will continue this next week, but keep this starting point. Okay, so with this I will close today's Panchadasi session. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, I'll see the chat box. There's some remarks there. Maya Shakti belongs to Ishwara, through which creation takes place. We get entangled with the samsara through Mula Vidya. By gradually increasing the sattva component, we may overcome the avidya and come closer to self-reality. Transcending the three gunas is gunatita, is the ultimate state, closer to Jivan Mother. Sir, have I understood correctly? Absolutely correct. You are right. Whatever you have written here is absolutely correct. You have understood the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita very clearly. So our objective behind this entire study of Upanishads and the entire meditation technique is to make my mind sattvic. So by doing this type of small meditations, you will understand that your own mind is the cause of all the problems. Your own mind is the solution for all the problems. How is it a solution? When I understand the nature of the mind. It is rajasic by nature. Lord Krishna beautifully describes the nature of the mind in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajoguna samudbhava. Understand, O Arjuna, this kama, the desire which is troubling you, and the anger is nothing but it is rajoguna. It is not you. What are you? Lord Krishna says, you are the pure sattva. The moment you drop that avidya, that is the objective behind this Omkara meditation. The more you do this Omkara meditation, don't have any superstition. I should not meditate on Om and it will take me throughout out of this world into some other world and all that. No, these are all superstitions. In one of the last session, I think it was on Saturday, somebody asked me this question. I said, well, is it superstition to meditate on Om? I said, no, if I did, anybody can meditate, but you should know how to meditate. The right methodology is very important. Okay, I hope I have understood, answered your question. Basically, you are asking whether your understanding is correct. My answer is yes. Okay, there's no more other overview of, okay, there's something else below. Vibhuti, Maya Shakti belongs to Ishwara through which creation takes place. We get entangled the samsara through Vidya by greatly increasing the sattva component, yes. Okay, then, okay, I think there's no more questions here. Is there any other question which you have, which you'd like to ask?
Yes, Shekharji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, you mentioned that in equilibrium of three gunas, creation cannot exist. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, see, there is in the scriptures, we talk about two. There is pralaya avastha and there is shrishti. Pralaya means when the sattva, rajas and tamoguna are in equilibrium. It is not the sleep state. It is very similar to the sleep state, but it is the pralaya avastha. Pralaya avastha means what? The whole creation has gone to sleep. That means the new creation is going to start. That is when all the three gunas of Prakriti are in equilibrium. When tamoguna is predominant, then you go to sleep. Even in us, see, we are all made up of what? Three gunas. We all have mind. That mind has got the component of sattva, rajas, and tamas. How do I understand the equilibrium status? Very similar to our sleep state. In our sleep state, what happens? Completely we are absorbed by tamoguna. When it is completely absorbed by tamoguna, what happens to rajas and sattva then? They are there, but it is not experienced. That is what is called as unmanifest condition of a jiva or unmanifest condition of the whole universe. Am I clear, Preeti?
Yes, Shekharji, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, anybody else has any other doubt or any other remark on today's session?
Shekharji, meditation is excellent. Thanks a lot for getting various clarifications. But the way Vidya and Swami, particularly about Prakriti, even bringing Ishwara also into the form of that pure sattva, that's amazing, really. That's something like a new way of putting it, and it looks very scientific. The whole explanation is...
that's correct, yes. So, see, that's why I'm glad you brought this point, because we have not seen this type of analysis before in any of our study in the last 10 years.
Yeah, nowhere actually. He made it very clear, like the pure sattva form is that Maya.
Correct.
And and basically this other entire world is full of this guna. So this reminds me of 13th and 14th chapter, how we enter from 13th to 14th chapter.
Correct. Very good. Yes, so I'm very happy you have been able to see the small subtle difference between Maya and avidya, you know.
It's really amazing. But what always surprises me is the whole Maya, which is this whole Prakriti. We have so much of knowledge, so much of information, the whole thing, which is mithya. And the very thing which is the very existent, which is really so truth and all, and we do not have any idea.
Yes, you got it. I'm happy, Venkatesh, with your understanding of the scriptures as we
Something
discussed
very
today. Very
amazing.
good. I think
Yeah.
you got the gist of it. Very good. I'm glad that there was at least one person here who could get the grasp of today's session as clearly as possible. Good.
It's very beautiful, extraordinary. Yeah, getting. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and this Omkara meditation is something very,
Very
unique,
powerful. Yeah.
very
unique.
powerful.
Very powerful. Yeah.
You see, people, Neeta, for example, you had some questions and doubts. If you do this type of Omkara meditation of consciousness with the universe, consciousness without the universe, you will come to the realization of your own self. Just close your mind, close your eyes and say, I now know there is consciousness with the universe and there is consciousness without the universe. Keep bringing these 2 points again and again in your mind. You are 100% guaranteed to know the self, the Atma.
Yeah.
This is a guarantee by the Mandukya Upanishad, not from me. It is the Upanishad which is saying that you will realize yourself. That's all. And what is the benefit of realizing the self? Then you will say, oh, there is nothing wrong with this world. You know, the world, let it happen, let it go on. I am not affected by the world. World is mithya. Mithya means what? Very important definition of mithya is, it is experienced, but it is not a factual existence. Okay? Try to remember, try to meditate on this mithya word. What is the best?
Yes.
What is the best example of this mithya? The best example of mithya, which Mandukya Upanishad, Shankaracharya gives in Mandukya Upanishad, he says the best example of this mithya is the dream world. The dream world is experienced. All of us, we experience the dream world. But it is not factual. It doesn't really exist. What is the waking world? Exactly like the dream world, it can be experienced. The mountains, the rivers, billions of people with different forms, animals, plants, planets, all are there. All are being experienced. But what should I know? The world is mithya. The waking world is mithya. The sleep world is mithya. The dream world is mithya. At the end, I should not say that nothing exists. At the end, you should say, I exist. I am that consciousness without the universe. Nishprapancha Chaitanya. In Sanskrit, it is called as Nishprapancha, means I know I am Satya. I am real. I am real. I am there. I am there. That is what I without the body, mind, and the world.
Negation, huh? It's through the negation that you get to
Yes, it is
together.
negation. That is called as, that negation is what is called as apavada. Negation means it is negation of the universe, but it is not the negation of yourself. Very important point.
Yeah.
Chandra, you have asked me this question many, many times, almost every year, once or 5 times you might have asked me this question. When I am in the meditation, I don't experience anything. Nothingness is my experience. What the Upanishad says is you are 100% right.
Yeah.
But only thing is, what is the knowledge you should have? That nothingness is mithya, but I am Satyam, I am there. Without that I, there cannot be the experience of the mithya world. Who is is the experiencer of this nothingness? That experiencer is Atma, Chaitanyam. That Chaitanyam can exist independently. And that is why we call ourselves Nitya Muktaha. I am always free. Even while experiencing the world, you should say the world is Mithya, I am Satyam. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. The world, the universe I'm experiencing is a... You cannot say it is non-existent. You should say it is Mithya. It is seemingly existent. What is the English translation of Mithya? Seemingly existent.
Seemingly existent.
Seemingly existent and really existent. Two words. Really existent is only I, the consciousness. Satyam. Seemingly existent is waking, dream, sleep. Whatever is the universe you experience joy, you experience sorrow, you experience an accident, you experience diseases, you experience so many types of problems. That person didn't smile at me. There was a big problem. I couldn't sleep for 3 days because, I got angry on him. All that is this mithya. Okay, I'm very happy. Those people who have attended today's sessions, you are very fortunate. This is a very, very powerful Omkara meditation. Is taken directly from Mandukya Upanishad. It is directly taken from Shankaracharya's Bhashya. The way I have analyzed is only a translation of the commentary of Shankaracharya in Mandukya Upanishad. And it's extremely powerful. I mean, you see, when you go through Shankaracharya's teaching methodology, you cannot but realize what the scriptures are telling you. You have to realize. There is no other doubt.
Correct. So this thing. I was just going through this Chandogya Upanishad suddenly. It is so beautifully they have put it actually. Like this Omkara has got both Saguna and Nirguna factor. You are starting from manifested world to the unmanifested. And this Saguna to Nirguna, what it is indicating is whatever that support we are doing while chanting and while during that silence when you enter into the Nirguna, that support, it should drop by itself. So that is what is really like very beautifully put it into this Chandogya Upanishad.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll explain more as we go through these mantras in both. Some of you are attending the Saturday sessions also. So this Saturday, if you are interested in Shankara Bhashyam of Taittiriya Upanishad, please attend 6 o'clock on Saturday. I'll be taking 2-3 sessions or one or two sessions depending on whether the people like it or not, because the Bhashyam teaching is different than the normal teaching of Upanishad, which you will see when you come to on Saturday. Thank you. Good night. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you very much.
Huh?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Shekhar ji.
Hari Om.
There you go.